It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, John Meleka, and Raisi on the beat. Let's go.
Raisi K, Raisin Man.
What's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Knicks episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me, as always, my buddy, my close pal, the man with the plan, the one and only, John Meleka. That's right. We're coming back at you with another Knicks episode this week. 2 Jets episodes, 2 Knicks episodes in 1 week. You know why? There's sports news. We're here at football season. We're getting close to training camp for the NBA. But for today, Donovan Mitchell got traded to the Cleveland Cavilers. We thought it could have been in the Knicks' grasp, but we'll break it all down, John and I. But before we get into those talks, you all know the drill. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to subscribe. We're on all audio listening platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us that 5-star rating. And if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a review or comment. We're also partnered with Fanside and Minute Media, so you can find this podcast on the Daily Knicks or the Jet Press. We also got that YouTube page, Knicks, Jets, ETC, period, no one writes out, etc. That shit is wild. Find the page, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. And when you watch a video, leave a comment, add to the conversation. We got some comments to respond to on the last video. Don't worry, we're coming at you. Blood of Taponta's back, baby's back commenting. We thought you went into the abyss, but you're back from vacation. We appreciate you, bro. We appreciate it. While you're also over at the YouTube page, we got another podcast, Winning Picks Weekly. John, video producer Greg, and our guy and co-host Chip Murphy. These guys go through every single sport possible. If you love sports gambling, these guys got you covered. NCAA college football is back. These guys got you covered. NFL is back. These guys got you covered. Make sure to go check them out over there on the page. And then last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. On Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We are there. John, my guy.
What up? What up?
Shit happened today. Shit happened today that inadvertently involves the Knicks. Even though we didn't get Donovan Mitchell. We're still involved because,
It was a fun day. It was a fun day, man,
day.
for NBA Twitter. As you mentioned, college football has started. Thursday games going on. People are hyped about that. Venus and Serena doing doubles right now at the U.S. Open. And, of course, Donovan Mitchell gets traded right before Labor Day weekend to not the New York Knicks. And that's a story in it and of itself, right? This has been the summer of Donovan Mitchell. It was to a lighter degree the summer of KD, right? But he didn't move ultimately. Donovan Mitchell was always more of a when, not if. Once Gobert got traded, Minnesota gave them a haul, and then obviously Donovan Mitchell's been on the block, and we've been saying from day one the Knicks have the most to offer. However, they're not going to do the 3 unprotected picks, which would effectively not allow us to trade future draft picks. And we would be stuck in what everybody agreed, including the pundits, which was like they thought they were dissing us when they were saying, oh, this is not going to be enough for the Knicks to be a championship contender. You guys are dummies. And we agreed. That's why we couldn't trade the undrafted picks, right? So we've been negotiating this whole time. And Alex, I just can't believe that Monday RJ Barrett news. I'm just annoyed that it wasn't more of a celebration than it should have been, because that was really the end of the negotiations of Donovan Mitchell, as we learned, right? It was that day. It was really, once RJ was off the table, it was over. So, man, I wish we celebrated that RJ more, but it was more like, okay, we have RJ now. We're still trying to figure out this Mitchell thing, So Yeah, that's why it's Knicks news. You know what I mean? Because we extended our guy around this trade. You know what I mean? It was more than just rumors.
Yeah, no, it was yeah, based on Ian's reporting, Woj's reporting, everybody's reporting, you could see that RJ was a foundational piece. And if it wasn't part of the deal, it seemed like the Knicks had to give up a haul in order to get Donovan Mitchell here. And to the Knicks' reasoning, even Ian Begley reported it. It was RJ and 2 picks, hoping that would get the deal done. Knicks did offer 3 unprotected picks without RJ. That wasn't enough to get the deal done. RJ clearly had to be part of this trade. And as we saw, if we do the comparison to what the Jazz got from the Cleveland Cavaliers, they got Colin Sexton, right, in a sign and trade, $72 million extension is what he got. You also got Lauri Markkanen. They also got Agbaji, who was recently drafted this year. They got
this year's first round pick.
Yeah, and they also got 3 first round unprotected picks. So theoretically, just like how we said it was 5 for that Minnesota sent over, right, with their draft pick, the center, I forget his name right now, Kessler Walker. You now have 4 draft picks, 4 first rounders. They go to the Cavs plus 2 pick swaps. It's a haul, man. Like the Cavs got a haul, and when you look at what they got you got a legitimate starter in Colin Sexton, who's a bucket. Okay, you got Lauri Markkanen, who has been a starter and has played meaningful minutes. Agbaji is touted. We had our guy Corey Tulaba break it down on here
Loves
as well.
him.
As
He
loves
loves
him. A guy that you want who just knows how to win and will do what his role needs to be to win. That's good value. You can compare that to being Grimes. Sexton, I put up there with being the RJ Barrett of the deal. That's how I look at it. So you can't tell me that RJ wasn't part of this deal. Whether or not Utah actually valued RJ Barrett for the long term, that's another story. But they definitely wanted him, probably to flip him down the line. And when we see that, it's now like when RJ got extended, it complicated things. We could see that probably Utah was hoping for a sign and trade in order to do so. Or something along those lines. Well, not a sign and trade because Colin Sexton was a restricted free agent, but they didn't want the contracts though that way. They didn't want the extension that way. They could extend him, do whatever that need be to be able to move him to another team afterwards.
Yeah, man. I mean, if to be honest with you, if I'm Utah, and I have to kind of, take this one on the chest, saying, who does Danny Ainge think he is? Danny Ainge won this bet, man. He won this negotiation, and he got 3 first-round unprotected picks from the Jazz, plus, from Cleveland, plus the 2 swaps in between. They own Cleveland for the next 7 years. Like, you know what I mean? And man, I would be devastated if that was the Knicks trade today. I honestly would be devastated if it was RJ, IQ, or Obi, it's been mentioned that this is what they wanted, plus the 3 unprotected and the 2 swaps. I would be devastated today, man. I would be resentful of Donovan Mitchell. I'm being honest with you. It would be way worse than the Melo trade.
Oh, 100%.
And honestly, it would bite us in the butt. I am really truly okay with where we are. To be honest with you, some teams are trying to be where we are with the draft picks. Like, you know what I mean? They're trying to accumulate the draft picks that we have, and we have the players. I mean, I'm really excited about the fact that we did not give all that up. Would I have liked Donovan Mitchell? Of course. We've been talking about it for literally 3 months. It is documented. Of course, I wanted Donovan Mitchell. I wanted to pair him up with Jalen Brunson. I didn't think that was going to be a defensive issue. I'm not going to say that it is going to be, it would have been now. I would have been fine. But it was Brunson, Mitchell, and RJ. That was always the deal. I was always willing to give up Obi, right? I was always willing to give up Grimes if we had to. I was being a little conservative with the picks, which I don't think it's being conservative to just not own our future. You know what I mean? And we're giving them a lot. I don't know. As much as I wanted him, I think the Knicks won this negotiation as well. And
yeah,
despite the fact that I think they might now overpay for something silly, because we have too many assets. Like we might like get like Buddy Hield now or something silly like that, which we'll get into in a little bit here at the end. I think we're still vulnerable to that, which doesn't really excite me. But for now, in terms of Donovan Mitchell, if that was the deal on the table, we have won. Like, yes, I agree. It's upsetting and it's an L that we did not get Donovan Mitchell. I agree. In the vacuum, I agree with that. That's an L. We all want him. You're wearing your Westchester Knicks shirt. It's documented, right? Like there's no way to go up. But am I upset about the fact that we didn't get him? Now that I know not only what they got from the Cavs, but what the Knicks offer was, absolutely not. And dude, if I'm Utah, I'm hyped. Obviously, they have a great haul in general, but dude, they got a great like if Donovan Mitchell leaves in 3 years, which we all assume is going to happen, that might be one of the greatest trades in NBA history.
And I think that's the biggest concern, right? When you make this trade and you give up a lot of your future, you can't guarantee that Donovan Mitchell would stay with the team for the next couple of years. He has this year, 3 more years after that. He'll be unrestricted free agent in 2026. But that's the issue when you give up a lot, man. That's the issue when you give up your future, and that's something that the Knicks aren't. That's something the Knicks aren't. They're not in that place right now, and the reason they're not in that, like Cleveland, for Cleveland, this is not a bad trade for Cleveland. This is actually a really good trade for Cleveland.
It's a great trade for Cleveland.
Yeah,
we were talking about it for months about how great this fit would be.
Yeah, because here's the and we know because look, they gave up Lauri Markkanen, they gave up Agbaji, like we said, and Sexton. They still have depth, dude. They still have depth. Like this is like they're pushing their chips in, saying we can be competitive right now. We're a young team that can, potentially fight for a championship at some point in the future. If we do well enough, maybe Donovan Mitchell does stay here. They're in position to be doing something like that. The Knicks aren't. You look at Darius Garland, you look at Mobley, you look at Jared Allen, right? You on top of that, you got Kevin Love, who's a solid veteran, who's now got his stuff back together. Coming off the bench. You got JB Bickerstaff, who's doing good stuff out there. Like that's a solid team, man. Like,
LeVert off the bench too, bro.
Huh?
LeVert.
Yeah, you got Karis LeVert. You got my guy Okoro in the starting rotation right now as a small forward. That's a solid rotation right there. You want to talk about a real
team in the East, bro. That's a real team in the East,
bro. That's a top 6 team in the East, easy. Top 6 team, easy. Not even a question. Yeah, not even a question. So for Cleveland, it makes a lot of sense. Knicks, they're not in that position. If you trade RJ, you trade Grimes, you trade all your who are you left with? Brunson, Mitchell. You then have to deal with if you give up Obi, you got depend on Randall.
We could not have given up RJ, man. That would have been so tough.
That would have been the roughest. That would have been the roughest thing to deal with.
We would have resented Mitchell. It wouldn't have worked, man. I'm really glad.
Yeah, because then when you trade for Mitchell, and this is what people have to think is that you're then putting that much expectation on him to take you to the promised land. It's not playoffs, right? You make that type. You make that type of trade, pushing in that many chips. You got to be competing for a championship. If you're not competing for a championship, what are you doing? We all agreed
that wasn't the case. People that are Knicks fans that wanted Mitchell and pundits who said the Knicks are going to be dumb either way, they also said that. You know what I mean? They said that Mitchell is not going to make them a championship team. So that was their argument for the trade or against the trade. You know what I mean? But in that case, you have to keep the assets to make a trade further down the line. And I know that's annoying to hear. And you don't want to say, okay, the Knicks have been waiting forever, because that's what we've been doing since LeBron free agency.
And look, man. And
it's just about waiting. Go ahead.
No,
you think that's a fair criticism?
No, it's not. I think it is fair criticism depending on how long you've been a Knicks fan for. There's been people who've watched it. I was just on Knicks fan TV. We had a caller who said, I haven't seen a championship since I was born, and that was 73. Right? Yeah. If you've been a Knicks fan for that long, I got feel for you. That's over 50 years of not seeing your team really compete for a championship, right? Being in that, sure, you had the Knicks in the 90s that were in the finals, right? But you haven't seen, let me rephrase it. You haven't seen your team actually win a chip in 50 years.
Yeah, but I mean, see, I don't care. Great. In a nutshell, that's okay. That's a long time. That's upsetting. But to bring that up, because the fact that we didn't,
but I'm not saying it's right.
It's just silly.
I'm not saying it's right. Yeah. No, but I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's understandable why you could be upset, because you also want to know the direction of this team. I think that's also a fair question.
See, here's the thing, man. I think that this is positive in the direction of the team, actually. And I believe that the Knicks have a real they have a real leader at the top. Everybody's crying about how Leon Rose doesn't do press conferences. The Knicks today, to be honest with you, right? Like season ticket holder, we're on the Knicks media stuff. We're in tune with everything they do, especially their PR. They had everything drop literally the same minutes that Woj tweeted, like literally the same exact minute. I had the emails come in, the tweet dropped about RJ. So, I mean, it's all planned, right? It's all behind the scenes, and they know what this looks like, right? Leon Rose had a statement for the first time, right? Everybody understands the aura around the Knicks and the PR, and Leon Rose understands and hears what people are saying, and we wanted to put it under the rug. But listen, man, there's nothing more for me to say here than I'm so happy that we did not trade RJ Barrett here, and we did not give up RJ and Obi and the exact. I mean, they wanted 2 young players, so like Obi and Grimes or Obi and IQ plus a 3 unprotected and 2 protected. No way am I doing that. So I'm so happy they didn't do it. Like,
so
am I upset about Mitchell? Sure.
Well, let me ask you this question. What's the direction of this team moving forward? Because the team that's currently constructed, right? We're talking mediocrity. You're not competing now for like getting in the play-in and doing all that stuff. Not really worth it. Not with the way the East is now shaken out. This is crazy. So if the Knicks aren't going to be a top 6 team, they're looking like a play-in team at best.
Hold on.
What are you doing?
Hold on. This team is not done as constructed. I know it's getting close here to training camp, but this was just the first domino to fall. Almost like how the Beverly trade happened as soon as KD decided he's staying. Like the dominoes have to fall sometimes for transactions to fall through. And now that the Donovan Mitchell trade's not happening, especially since Fournier, for example, I'm sorry, Chip Murphy 7 co-host when it picks weekly. I'm sorry to bring up your boy, but he was part of the money moving, and I still think he's gonna move, right? Because, and so that's part of the answer where you're talking about the direction of the team. Okay, so Grimes is gonna start, which means that the team is moving forward. We are advancing our rookies, right? And they're getting better, and now they're in the starting role moving forward after they've proven themselves. We gave them a starting point guard. We paid for it. We've locked up our small forward, our 3rd pick, right? And then the power forward position gets interesting. I've been on the record saying I want to see how Julius Randle does with a point guard. I know that many teams say they don't want him. I'm still not going to be shocked if he ends up on the Hornets or something of that nature. I know that Randall for Hayward works straight up. And then Hayward, before you start yelling at the computer right now, is 2 years, right? So he'd be expiring next year at least, even though he's technically looks like more money. It'll be advantageous for the Knicks, especially if we're looking to make a trade next year. And the Hornets need Randall. And I think they're going to notice, Steve Clifford's going to notice that the second he walks into camp. Well, and, who knows about if Harold, we know his situation is kind of getting cleaned up a little bit. But we still don't even know if he's going to play or get suspended.
We don't know. But I think,
the power forward position really is going to make a difference in the direction of this team, Alex. Because 100%. I think those 3 things are solid. We're going to move Fournier. So, we're still getting younger. We're still moving forward. What happens with Randall and Obi, I think is going to make a difference. Because if Randall's playing and he's playing good, I know, stop freaking out. I know. But if he's playing and he's playing good, it means we're making a run right now. But then he's going to be splitting minutes with Obi. Right? So I'm curious as to how that's going to go. Because it's not going to be a, hey, give some minutes to the young guy type deal with Obi anymore. It's going to be like, yo, play Obi. He's 26. You know what I mean? Like, let's move this along. We know he's good, and we've accepted him as a fan base to get real minutes. He's obviously done everything the organization asks of him. So it's not going to be a give the young guy minutes now. Now it's going to be a kind of like a foul between the head coach and the fans, let's say, right? Because that's, I guess, all we can speak for, right? When it comes to that, and that could be a real issue when it comes to chemistry. I'm sure there's other issues going on here, but I mean, I guess we don't want to aggregate it, but we're fans of Knicks Film School. We read Macri's newsletters. We listen to his podcast. We have Claudio coming on soon again to grace us with his presence before the Jet season. Talk some Knicks now with the Mitchell news finally coming to an end. He mentioned that it's possible.
Macri did.
Macri mentioned that he's heard that it's possible that the Knicks want to get rid of Randall. Well, let's just put it at that. The easiest way to throw that out there, right?
Yeah, and the way that he phrased it is that, like, hopefully this is not the last deal to be done for the Knicks. Like, hopefully they do make a deal where it comes to moving Randall before the start of the season, or at some point. Like, that's essentially what he's reporting. It
looks like I mean, speaking of direction, if the Knicks move Randall and Fournier, I mean, the direction is we are building a real team, and we don't give a damn, especially if we don't get anything back. Like, if we get Hayward back, whatever, for Randall, and then we get really nothing
straight
back
development,
for Fournier.
baby.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're
straight
chilling
development.
too. So
and that's fine with me. Look, and that's fine with me, because the way that this looks right now, looking at the East, we're not going anywhere for the next couple of years anyway, unless you landed a superstar. Let's just. I know I know you. It's everyone doesn't really like when I do this, but it's like you got your Celtics, you got the Bucks, Sixers, you got now Cavs are going to be up there. You got Miami, you got the Brooklyn Nets because they're staying together, right? Talk about 6 teams right there. You got Chicago, Atlanta, whack. Yeah, I hear you. But we can essentially be a play-in team with less than what we're doing now.
Yeah. We'll also see if the Nets get a center. So I think the Nets could be at the 6th spot, and we're kind of competing with them. They don't have a center. It's tough to win, even though they have the best team KD's ever had, or really in the Nets modern era. This is the best Nets team they've assembled. They still don't have a center, so we'll get to that at a different time. But let me ask you this: you're talking about development. We all read the Berman piece. Berman, friend of the show. He likes to stir stuff up sometimes, but that's sometimes just perception, because we have to give him props where props is due. He was right about RJ Barrett extension. He was right to a certain extent about the Mitchell Robinson extension. Okay, and now he reported that Cam Reddish wants a change of scenery. Doesn't like the scenery out in Westchester, Alex.
Cam Reddish?
And yeah, a clutch product. We know the Lakers are looking to make moves. You talked about Fournier. Do you think we could be moving Reddish, Fournier, and a pick and kind of facilitating something with the Lakers and the Pacers here? But we know Buddy Hield is in the mix. We know the Lakers want to move some players. We know they want to move Russell Westbrook. Maybe he goes to Indiana for a buyout, have them save some money, get rid of Miles Turner, that kind of move. Like, do you see any of this crazy scenario, or am I just tinfoil hatting, just moving on after Donovan Mitchell?
I think I'm going to go with the tinfoil hatting on this one. I don't see Buddy Hield coming here. If you want Grimes to start, Hield wants to start. That's the whole spiel that's been around Beal. Hield, but he healed Beal. He didn't like his role in Sacramento coming off the bench. Sure, he doesn't like it in Indiana being behind Chris Duarte and Halliburton. I'm sure he wants to be up there in that starting rotation. He's not known as a defensive guy. He's a pure shooter. That'd be kind of tough. If we didn't have Grimes here, I could see that, but I can't see that. With Cam, though, you see that he's been debunking all that stuff, though. He's been on IG. He's been everywhere saying it's all cap. I didn't request a trade, especially on his birthday. So
I know,
which is interesting. But I do believe, I feel like there is a portion that where Cam does get moved. If Fournier goes, I hope not, because I'd like to see what he can do. But it's all interesting waters right now. Now that the dust is settling after the Donovan Mitchell trade to the Cleveland Cavaliers, it's interesting just trying to figure out.
It's got to go development. We got to go development. You can't be like, all right, we're going to try to win now. Because if Mitchell's here, I want Randall, man. I want to see that. I promise you, I really did. But now that Mitchell's gone, we're doing development. We don't need Randall, man. Just put Obi in there. We're keeping our guys. We're not making trades. I'm not going to start thinking about Karl Anthony Towns, even though I will soon, depending on how Minnesota does. I'm not going to think about it for now.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm ready for the development. Just go south, get some good draft capital, get a guy on the draft at this point. We're not competing. As long as we develop our guys, which is truly, this is not pure tanking because we actually have talent that we can watch. Let's see what these guys can offer too. And maybe these guys increase their draft stock, right? They raise it where you can actually go trade for a star where you don't have to add so many draft picks, add so many players so that we can go get somebody. But let's also see what we got, man. Like I'm ready for this. I know people out there that want to know the direction. This is the direction, man. This is the direction the team has to go. And with regards to Tom Thibodeau, he's staying. If they pull everything back, you cannot fire him. I'm just letting you know. Like I'm letting the listeners know because I know we had CK. Shout out to our guy CK2K. He said it right. It's either Randall or Tibbs. If we pull everything back, you're trading Randall. Tibbs is here to stay. All right. That's just a fact. You can't fire a coach saying, "Hey, you didn't make the playoffs." It's like with what?
Yeah.
With what did you give me to go make the playoffs?
No, I agree. So, like, this is definitely a big developmental year for Tibbs. But if we're talking to our fans, if we're talking to our listeners, Knicks fans everywhere, when Donovan Mitchell comes through the Garden with Cleveland, we better boo the living crap out of him. I don't care. I don't care that if you're
posting a picture of him in a Cavs jersey.
We better boo the hell out of Donovan. Don't give him that treatment that we were giving like LeBron, that last year when he was on Cleveland and we all knew he was going to be a free agent. None of that crap.
Cavs games and Jazz games are going to be very interesting this season.
Well, Jazz doesn't matter anymore. And it's funny because
I think people got some heat against Danny Ainge, bro. I think people are going to want to boo and not necessarily the players,
won't show up. He might have an event in Boston. But for Knicks Utah, I think it's funny. It's a primetime game. And it's also a high-tiered game for like Knicks tickets, which is hilarious because now it literally doesn't matter. The team stinks. You know what I mean? So I think it's funny.
I think the league was prepared for Donovan Mitchell to go to the Knicks, and then it's like, oh,
which I think is funny, man. And we were saying like everything's pointing towards
this just shows how league offices have no idea what's happening either.
Yeah, but Windhorst did. Yeah, last episode we mentioned him a lot. It's plugged in, obviously. Last episode he was talking a lot about different Cavs scenarios. Kept bringing that up, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but I think we dissected this Donovan Mitchell trade to the extent, man, at least the saga's over. I can say that. It stinks, man. I was really looking forward to having Donovan Mitchell on this team, but
I'm cool with it.
For that cost, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Hard pass. Literally. Pass.
It's not even considering it. There's no point in me. Like the original Wilgebomb was tough.
Yes. When I saw 3 unprotected first rounds, I was like, yo, we couldn't beat that. And then I saw the players, I was like, oh.
Oh, no. I'm saying the Cavs acquired. That was tough. Phone blowing up. And then I saw 3 unprotected. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, here it comes. No. Like, where's up? That's 3 unprotected. That's already what I didn't want to do. I know players are coming. Obviously, Sexton was going to be part of the deal. I knew swaps were coming. Like, nothing else was like the 3 unprotected for me. I mean, if it was just that, obviously it can't be.
Well, this is where like for me, I could deal with 3 unprotected, depending on the players. Fine, right? You can't tell me like, hey, Alex, 3 unprotected, Obi, RJ, and I'll be like, no, we're not doing that. That's a lot. Plus 48 to go make the salary match. Nah, that's wild. But when I saw 3 unprotected, when I saw the trade to the Cavs, I was like, wow, for what? For what that we couldn't get this done? I was like, 3 unprotected. I was like, who are the players? Then when I saw the players, I was like, oh.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, that's too steep. Too steep.
I agree.
But hey, man, good stuff. Broke this thing down. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in and checking out all these episodes throughout the week. It was a very busy week for us between Jets and Knicks. So thank you all for hanging in there with us. We appreciate you. And hopefully you guys appreciate us by doing these simple things, man, just to help us out. It's for free, too. It's for free. All right. All you got to do is subscribe to this podcast on any audio platform that you use, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe over there. And if you watch on YouTube, make sure to leave a comment, hit the like button, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. All right. These are just free ways to support us. If you made it all this way, come on. Support you guys. Come on. We're trying to build something here. Just hit that subscribe button. It's all free. And you know what else is free? Following us on social media. That's also free. You don't got to pay for that. We don't got super followers like you see like a lot of these like other content creators out there. All right. Come on. Help you guys out. Follow us. We like engaging with all of you. We love talking sports. But thank you all for being such great listeners and tuning in all the time and sticking with us. We truly appreciate it. We'll catch you later next week for more Knicks and Jets. All right. Everyone enjoy your Labor Day weekend. We out.
Let's go Knicks.